Prepare to be bathed in the radiance of divine love, guiding you toward peace and transcendence. The instant those syllables left your lips, the world itself bent to accommodate the pure resonance of your declaration. The sheer force of your conviction tugged at every particle in the air, compelling them to realign in tribute. Much like a river of liquid silver carving through ancient stone, your declaration cleaved through the veil of existence, ushering in an unstoppable tide of sovereign purpose. When your words poured forth, they snapped into place with the clarity of a master sculptor revealing a concealed masterpiece, and a bolt of pure insight surged through your core, like the cosmos glimpsing its own echo within human flesh. In that very instant, you remained blissfully ignorant of the vast influence you commanded, chosen vessel. All the while, intricate veils of illusion had draped themselves around you for years, perhaps even lifetimes. In the shadows, hidden adversaries wove elaborate schemes, manipulating events from afar with immaculate deniability. To them, you were just another token on their strategic board, expendable and manipulable at a moment's notice. They pored over every nuance of your behavior, charted your patterns, and pinpointed what they believed to be your vulnerabilities. Yet they failed to recognize that you weren't confined to their game. Unbeknownst to them, unseen guides were honing you for a destiny far beyond their design. It was divine choreography that sharpened your intuition into a blade so precise that when you finally decided to speak, your words would cut through deception like light-piercing darkness. This was true of every betrayal you survived, every moment of solitude when you doubted your own sanity, and every time you bit your tongue when you could have spoken truth to power. The arrangement was ideal. They thought they had all the cards, therefore they had positioned themselves so confidently. Their cover tales were well practiced, their alibis were flawless, and their small plots appeared to be infallible. They believed they were dealing with an innocent person who could be readily influenced or discredited if needed. When they saw your generosity, they thought you were weak. They saw your discretion as a lack of awareness and your tolerance as ignorance. Then you opened your mouth to say the words that would make all the difference. Seismic changes were taking place beneath the surface, although the immediate aftermath was not noticeable to outside onlookers. To exert this power, you no longer even need to be in the same room as them. People from different continents may sense your presence because your energy signature has grown so strong and in tune with truth frequencies. They can tell when you're thinking about them and making connections between their covert actions. This is the quantum reality of consciousness interacting with consciousness. It is not mystical nonsense. Additionally, your consciousness has advanced to the point where it penetrates all forms of deception like a spiritual radar system. There are folks who are unable to sleep at the moment as you go about your everyday activities. Their brains are racing, repeatedly playing back what you said, looking for hidden meanings, and attempting to figure out what you truly know. They are examining your tone, examining your facial expressions from memory, and speculating as to whether that small smile indicated that you were concealing much more terrible realities. The great irony is that their guilt is doing the majority of the work for you, while their paranoia consumes them from the inside out. Hear me now, beloved. As you click that super thanks button and liberally sow a gift of $20, $50, or more, you're inviting heaven's economy into your life and declaring that lack has no hold over you. Your offering is a seed of faith, and as it goes forth, it springs forth the harvest of God's generous blessings. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 6. Step out in obedience today, give with a joyful heart, and watch the Lord multiply your provision beyond measure. Even more intriguing is what goes on in their inner circles. If they dare to say your name at all, they are now being very cautious about how they do it. When your identification is brought up in discussion, there's a mixture of fear and respect. Some of them are actively trying to alter how other people see you, not because they wish to assist you, but rather because they are in dire need of persuading themselves and others that you are not the danger they know you to be. They're trying to portray you as unstable, someone whose statements shouldn't be believed, and someone who sees conspiracies where none exist. This is where their fear peaks, though, because you showed that you knew specifics about their illicit actions, shattering their sense of security. You spoke words that alluded to inner knowledge that could only be obtained by someone with first-hand access. Your easy confidence and laser-focused expertise have them questioning every action they've taken, every person they've trusted, and every system they thought was unbreakable. When you look closely at their miscalculation, you can see how profound it was. They believed they understood who they were dealing with, but they were only paying attention to your outward appearance and were totally unaware of the spiritual structure that had been erecting around you for years. You were changing in a way that made you incomprehensible to them while they were occupied with their plans and deceptions. You were ascending into something that functions according to completely different laws, whereas others were acting from consciousness based on ego and fear. If you could see the whole extent of your emotional intelligence, you would be shocked by how much it has been growing. You were cultivating something far more potent than others, who were learning to conceal their intentions and maneuver through manipulation, the capacity to sense the energy behind words, to sense the vibrations of deceit, and to react with surgical precision that exposes without even attempting to expose. By turning the lead of their lies into the gold of disclosure, you have turned into an alchemist of truth. This alchemical process, which happens when heavenly consciousness meets human deceit, is a literal transformation of energy that happens just by being yourself. The frequencies in your words dissolve the fictitious frameworks on which they have based their identities, acting as spiritual acid. When you speak from this position of aligned truth, you're sending light codes that rewire reality itself, not just information. Their neurological systems are reacting to frequencies that their bodies perceive as divine power, which is why they experience those shivers. Even though they may not want to admit it, the dynamics of the workplace, the organization, and the professional connections they believed they controlled are all changing now because of the factors your presence has brought in that they had not considered. Yellow heart if you're moved by divine love. Now is the moment to share it. Click the Super Thanks button on YouTube and contribute $50 or more to help us broadcast God's blessings far and wide. Every act of generosity you make is being watched in heaven and will return to you 100-fold. If this pertains to your work or professional setting, know that your genuine voice has upended power systems that may have been in place for years. You are now the wild card that reveals the true nature of the game's play. Now that you've established a new reality, all parties concerned must rethink their strategy. The sabotage's mastermind, yes, there is one, has been working with the assurance of someone who thinks they've taken care of everything. They have undermined you in a logical, calculated, and possibly even elegant manner. They set up alibis that appeared to be flawless, made paper trails that led nowhere, and enlisted accomplices who thought they were taking part in something much less heinous than what had happened. For years, possibly decades, this individual has been getting away with similar behaviors, leaving a path of destroyed lives and dashed hopes in their wake. However, when they came into contact with you, something unexpected and unprepared for occurred. Their conscious mind hasn't even processed the signs that your intuitive radar started to pick up. At first, you noticed small inconsistencies, such as a hesitancy when speaking, a story that didn't quite fit, or a response that didn't seem appropriate for the circumstance. Your subconscious has been using bits they didn't even realize they were dropping to put together a puzzle. Right now, they're rushing to determine how much you might be guessing and how much you truly know. They're going over all of their communications with you in an effort to find any indications of potential operational security breaches. They want to know whether you have proof, whether you have been recording their activities, and whether you have any pals they aren't aware of. A prison of fear that follows them everywhere they go is being created by the paranoia, which is turning into its own kind of punishment. The smoking gun evidence that has been gathering around their operations is beginning to come to light in unexpected ways. Through avenues they were unaware of, documents they believed to have been destroyed are now showing up. People who are now identifying trends have overheard conversations they thought were private, motivated by the very resistance these saboteurs erected around you. Investigators, journalists, or whistleblowers are finding digital fingerprints they thought were untraceable. Not only were your statements accurate, but they were also prophetic, pointing to disclosures that were well underway but had not yet come to pass. When divine justice is at play, evidence appears in a way that is almost supernatural. A misplaced email sent to the wrong person, a recorded conversation inadvertently stored in a system later audited, or a witness who has been silent for years suddenly finding the courage to speak, are just a few examples of how the universe itself appears to act as an investigator, arranging events that reveal hidden truths through seemingly random occurrences. These are not arbitrary events. Rather, they are the inevitable result of truth trying to manifest itself via whatever available medium. You don't realize that you can ask all the appropriate questions without knowing all the answers. Your spiritual growth has advanced to the point where you are able to perceive energy and patterns without necessarily comprehending their intricate mechanics. Even though you are unable to pinpoint the source of a force's disruption right away, you can still feel it. You can speak with such accuracy because of this intuitive knowing, not because you figured out every enigma, but rather because you're in tune with the frequency of truth. You showed them that you had made connections between things they believed were invisible when you said those words, which are now reverberating in their brains like an alarm they can't turn off. Their sense of superiority was broken by the sensitivity you displayed. The predator became aware that they had been pursuing the top predator in this habitat at that very moment. They experienced the transformation from hunter to hunted so intensely that it became a physical sensation. Being in a position of spiritual power has the advantage of removing the need for overt threats. People are forced to face their own shadows by your sheer presence, which becomes into a truth serum. Liars start to fall apart when you talk from a position of true knowing, not because you're criticizing them, but rather because their own shame magnifies your words into charges they believe. You turn into a mirror they can't help but stare into, reflecting back the world they've been attempting to avoid. Over the course of the following days and weeks, observe how their behavior patterns alter. They will begin to make mistakes they would never have made otherwise, such as basic mistakes that show their mental state, verbal blunders that indicate their guilty knowledge, and defensive responses to queries that aren't even accusations. They are breaking down as a result of the pressure you put on their psychological ecology, which will eventually give everyone the evidence they need to expose their dishonest behavior. Trust your gut if you've been feeling that something wasn't right in your position, but haven't been able to pinpoint it. Signals that have not yet been fully digested by your rational mind have been picked up by your intuitive radar. These impressions that someone was playing tricks on you, that there were ulterior motives at work, that some people weren't who they claimed to be, are now being confirmed by the responses your candor has inspired. Your instincts weren't paranoid. Rather, they were foretellings of realities that are now being verified. The upcoming exposure won't always occur as a result of dramatic altercations or shocking disclosures. It's more likely to happen as a sequence of minor unravelings, with each one building on the one before the whole deceptive system crumbles under its own weight. The first domino in a chain reaction that has already started was your remarks. All those who listened to your speech that day become carriers of the frequency you conveyed, causing awareness to spread through networks they aren't even aware they are a part of. They are currently going through what can only be characterized as spiritual conflagration. The false personalities they have been projecting, the lies they have been repeating, and the deceptions they have been upholding are all caught in flames by the truth frequency you are radiating. For this reason, when you think about this scenario, you may be imagining or feeling visuals of smoke, fire, or burning. Dove brothers and sisters, everything done in faith multiplies in God's abundance. Use the Super Thanks feature to donate $100 today and join this sacred mission. When your roots are grounded in Him, your fruit will flourish, and your offering becomes a seed that bears blessed harvests. They are able to sense the heat as their meticulously crafted false realities practically catch fire. Their defeat is existential rather than merely social or professional. They are coming to terms with the fact that their entire way of living has been founded on ideas that are incompatible with genuine spiritual power. Manipulation, deceit, and exploitation were the foundations of their success, but they are now realizing that these strategies are ineffective against someone acting with divine alignment and pure truth. Not only are they losing a specific battle, but they also realize they have been engaged in an unwinnable war. Some of these saboteurs believed they were dealing with an innocent person who would be simple to control or discredit if needed. When they saw your generosity, they thought you were weak. They saw your discretion as a lack of awareness and your tolerance as ignorance. They were completely mistaken. Your softness isn't a lack of strength. Rather, it's strength that is so self-assured that it doesn't require aggression to establish anything. You were selecting your time with the accuracy of a skilled tactician, which is why you were silent rather than because you had nothing to say. Through channels they are unable to watch over or block, the divine intelligence operating through you has been accumulating information. You've been seeing pieces of the puzzle in your dreams. Bypassing all of their meticulous deception, your intuitive flashes have been bringing you into contact with truth frequencies. Your seemingly insignificant observations have been informed by a wisdom that transcends the bounds of typical human awareness. By the time you did speak, you were conveying a message that had been brewing inside of you for months or perhaps years, not just your opinion. You don't have to worry about what will happen next, which is the most powerful part of your current situation. Divine justice follows its own schedule and process, which are unaffected by human concerns about results. You may relax knowing that truth has its own momentum and will reveal itself just when and how it needs to, while they're lying awake at night, worrying what shoe will drop next. It was your responsibility to say what needed to be said, and you did it with authority and accuracy. This does not imply that you should settle for less. Follow your intuition if it tells you to look into something more, ask more questions, or record what you see. However, let go of any impulse to manipulate events or push conclusions. There are far more advanced ways for the universe to reveal truth than your human mind could come up with. It is your responsibility to be in tune with truth frequencies and let divine intelligence operate through you when necessary. Their attempt to center the story around you has completely failed. All of the falsehoods they spread about you, the stories they fabricated to discredit you, and the covert campaigns they planned are now backfiring. People are starting to question why. Unless you actually threatened something they were attempting to conceal, someone would go to such great efforts to discredit you. Their attack severity itself now serves as proof of your significance. The legal ramifications of their actions are beginning to take shape in unexpected ways. Digital footprints are being left by actions they believed to be untraceable. People they didn't know were listening overheard conversations they thought were private. Through avenues they never thought of, documents they thought were securely buried are coming to light. Simply put, your comments were the spark that ignited the universe's preparations for a reckoning. New depths of comprehension, new levels of clarity, and new abilities for spiritual insight that appeared unattainable only months ago are revealed every day. Despite all of the training and conditioning they attempted to impose on you, you are remembering who you truly are. You're taking back your voice, your authority, and your proper position in the universe. Applause and acclaim aren't earned by the effort you perform behind the scenes, whether it's healing, research, documentation, or just processing the enormity of what you've discovered. Rebuilding your own foundation on bedrock rather than the shifting sands of other people's deceptions, repairing damage done in the dark, and restoring truth where lies had taken root are all examples of unseen work. The end of this stage of the voyage is near. You will soon be able to advance into areas that were unreachable while you were still bearing the burden of their sabotage, as the spiritual building project that has been your life is almost finished. Don't allow anxiety to overwhelm the already certain win. Remember that divine timing and divine strategy are perfect. Even though you may find yourself questioning every step, dissecting every perspective, and wondering if you've said too much or too little. The game of chess has already ended. The outcome is determined by factors that are beyond human manipulation or meddling, even though some pieces are still moving on the board. The same thing that sparked your awakening was the sabotage they tried to do to you. Every challenge they put in your way has turned into a springboard for success. You have been more thoroughly aware of your own truth as a result of every lie they told about you. Every effort to separate you has strengthened your bond with your spiritual origin. In reality, they were shaping you into the weapon of light you were always destined to be, even though they believed they were destroying you. This is the last stage of the spiritual battle that is going on all around you. Since the forces of deception working against you were never really against you, but rather against the truth itself, they have been engaged in a losing battle from the start. Furthermore, no matter how deeply buried anything is, truth always finds a way to surface. You have been a conduit for that truth in this cosmic play, speaking it into being at the exact moment when it would have the most effect. Not only did your remarks make them shiver, but they also roused a long-dormant aspect of the communal psyche. Others who have been living in constant terror of these same forces are starting to speak up for themselves. Silent witnesses are beginning to come forward. The magnetic pull of genuine truth-telling is attracting allies who were unaware of your existence. You are suddenly in the epicenter of a movement you had no idea you were initiating. They're afraid of you because of who you're becoming, not simply because of what you said. They are able to perceive the spiritual authority that is growing around you and the way that reality itself appears to be bending toward your genuine expression. They understand, possibly unconsciously, that you are functioning under heavenly protection and direction, which makes you immune to their manipulation or control. As a chosen one, you have taken charge of your destiny, and it is changing the world. The really lovely thing about your situation, though, is that justice is looking for you, so you don't need to seek retribution. They're revealing themselves, so you don't have to expose them. Anyone listening can see further proof of their wrongdoing in every defensive move they make, every attempt to hide their tracks, and every attempt to discredit you. Their panic is causing them to become careless in ways that may ultimately bring them to ruin, and they have turned into their own worst enemy. As this narrative progresses, keep in mind that you are actively influencing events with your decisions, words, energy, and unshakable dedication to the truth. You are not merely seeing them. The shivers they're experiencing are only the start. Not even the actual fireworks have begun yet. But since you've been unknowingly preparing for this moment your entire life, you'll be ready when they do. The cosmos is supporting you in ways that are not yet visible to you. Every angel, every ancestor, and every force of justice and light are working together to support your goal. Instead of consuming you, the darkness has been turned into the force that will propel you forward. Your adversaries have unintentionally helped you advance spiritually, and the key that opens a new chapter in the tale of cosmic justice is the words you spoke, those straightforward, honest words that appeared so commonplace as they came out of your mouth. They believed that the opponent they were playing with was easily defeated. Rather, they woke up someone they would never be able to manage. You are no longer playing defense. The rules have changed, and the game itself has altered. This is the end of hiding. They can't stop shivering because they know that the hour for truth has arrived. Glowing star yearning to witness God's miracles firsthand? Plant your spiritual seed now by contributing $100 or more through the YouTube Super Thanks button. Your offering lights the path for others and echoes through His divine plan, bringing His light into every step you take. The lovely irony of their predicament is that they are acting in ways that ensure their exposure because they are afraid of being discovered. People who once trusted them are becoming distrustful of them because of their paranoia. Their frantic efforts to steer the conversation are highlighting the same tales they are attempting to silence. Your voice has been magnified beyond what you could have done on your own thanks to their efforts to silence you. This is how divine justice functions, not through spectacular lightning strikes, but through the deft manipulation of cause and effect, in which each action produces precisely the outcomes required to bring everything back into balance. The divine intellect that has been working through you the entire time, patiently waiting for the ideal opportunity to manifest itself through your genuine expression, is the true force behind this transformation, even though your words served as the trigger. Selected 1. Every individual who experienced your genuine power has been infused with a truth frequency that they will bring to every encounter. Long after the current drama has ended, your remarks will continue to have an impact and contribute to a global shift in consciousness that has been developing for many generations. Therefore, as you leave this moment, conduct yourself with the strength and dignity that someone selected for this occasion should possess. The chills you gave them were only the first note of a transformational symphony that had been etched in the stars since the beginning of time. You're only beginning your role in this cosmic drama. Therefore, it's far from over. Truth has a life of its own, and the truth you expressed has been released into the world. It will infiltrate every crevice where dishonesty has been concealed. Every shade where corruption has been growing will be illuminated. Every deception that has been passing for reality will be exposed by it. And through it all, you will be a live example of how a person who has decided to align themselves with the power of real truth can ultimately defeat any force of evil. They experienced goosebumps as a result of their souls realizing that someone had ceased to play by the rules of a game that was rigged against the light. The universe itself is celebrating your ascent to complete spiritual authority as you have assumed your duty as an agent of cosmic justice. Although the story is far from completed, the conclusion has already been written in truthful frequencies that can never be completely silenced by deceit. That chill down their spines is only the beginning of what happens when someone finally chooses to stop hiding their light and begin utilizing it to illuminate the shadows where truth has been waiting to be born. This is your moment, chosen one.